welcome back to the show. If you're new here, I'm Sheen, your host, and today we're joined by a powerhouse, okay? I want you to meet Sarrah, and she's one of those rare women who doesn't just climb the ladder herself, but she keeps building new ladders for other women to also climb. And she has been an incredible champion when it comes to fertility awareness, especially in the workplace. We actually met on a panel for fertility, and I'm super excited to learn more from her today. Hi, Sarrah. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. Tell us a little bit about what you do right now.
So at the moment, I'm working for a healthcare company. And this being here in the UAE, it's looking at making or creating opportunities with government for public-private partnerships where we can tackle some of those really big population health issues in lots of different fields. So fertility, oncology, neurology, diabetes, etc. Lots of different disease areas.
Wow. So what does your day-to-day look like?
My day-to-day looks like many things. So I actually am responsible for a few things, which is government affairs. So that's the government part. I'm also responsible for access to medicine and communications, and also pricing and tendering. So they all kind of seem a little bit unrelated, but they're actually related all together here. So in between bidding for country tenders to provide medicine to people, to setting up affordability programs for people who don't have insurance that covers that medicine or don't have the affordability to do things like IVF, to working with government. This morning I was in Mohap looking at solutions for young children who have issues with growth. So they have growth hormone deficiency. And then in between that, communications and then pricing of products, and sometimes traveling to different countries because I cover the Gulf, all of the Gulf countries, and just continuously learning. I'm also the DEIB lead. I'm the sustainability lead. I'm a mentor for interns, etc. So yeah, and I'm a mum. You know, most importantly, I'm a mum as well. So my day is I don't think about work-life balance. I think about work-life integration. So the two are kind of that is part of who I am in the day. And what I do is also part of who I am in the evening, because my son always asks me, what did you do today? And I tell him about the projects that I'm doing, and he's excited by them. And even the fertility one, I remember when I first told him about it, he said to me, why would you help people have babies if they can't afford to have babies? So, and that really, like when you see something from a completely kind of naive perspective, you're like, And we factored that into the program. So work-life integration.
I love that. So, Sarrah, like on the podcast, we get a lot of different kinds of women. We usually get entrepreneurs, celebrities, and we get people who have pivoted a lot. And I'm very excited to have this conversation with you because in a very long time, we haven't had a corporate girl. And I love how you already listed all the different things that you've done and how you wear so many hats, because a big chunk of my audience are professional women. So that's what I'm going to try to get out of you today is a little bit about how you've climbed the ladder and what can other women learn from that journey of yours. And also, I love that you said work-life integration, because I think we get lost sometimes in the work-life balance conversation. And also, I want to talk about, can women have it all, really? And what does that mean, right? So yeah, there you go. That face tells me everything I need to know. So tell me, first of all, who is Sarrah outside of LinkedIn?
Who am I outside of? I'm actually a really, really normal person with really normal issues. And I need to go and register the car. I need to do the insurance. I need to get my son's things. It's my friend's birthday on the weekend. I'm just a normal girl from South London that was lucky enough to have a support system, several different support systems as I grew up, and was able to, despite certain challenges that everybody has in their life, come good in the end, I guess. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. And, you've held very big titles and you do very important work. Honestly, I've seen the work that you do and I love it. But do you remember a time where it all clicked in your head and you said, okay, I am on the right path?
I've always loved science. So I did science at school and I always wanted to do something scientific, but I didn't want to do medicine. My parents are from Egypt, so they wanted me to be a doctor. And I didn't really know anything much about this industry. But once I got into it, I realized that I could keep my love of science and this passion to want to do something different. That's always like a huge thing. I don't like to copy or to replicate. I'm always looking for the bit that I remember my dad used to call me Miss Y when I was young. Everything was why. And I think maybe while that's annoying when you're a parent, when your kids are young, but I think why all the way through your life should be something that why am I doing this? Why is this important? Why should that also be important to somebody else? Because most of our, the work that we do in corporate is B2B. And it just so happens that the topic is health. So when you're going into a room and you're speaking to somebody about something or a concept you've come up with, they've got to see what's in it for them. Yeah. And so, I think it was just that I found an area where I could do something I loved, and it has a huge impact on lots of people at the same time. And I'm lucky enough to, I don't know if it's luck, but I found this role that allows me to innovate and gives me the autonomy to do things that are slightly outside of the normal kind of sales structure. So I'm not there promoting medicines. I'm not there talking about a particular brand. I'm talking about a population health problem. And then how can we work together to fix it? And it's really not obvious all the time. And sometimes I think it has something to do with my ADHD, but I say that, have you ever seen the film A Beautiful Mind?
Yes.
You know how the guy sees numbers and they make sense?
Yeah.
Somehow, things like red threads or problems or whatever, I don't know how my brain does it. And it's not something that I do consciously, but I'm able to see the bigger picture and put that all of those red threads into a solution, a comprehensive solution. And that excites me. That's what I genuinely love what I do. I get up every day not knowing what conversation necessarily I have, but I know what the topic is. And then, as I said this morning in Mohap, it took a 2.5-hour meeting to come up with, just a rudimentary kind of framework of what we're going to do together. But I know it's going to be worthwhile, and I know it's always hard work, but the rewards are huge in the end. And I guess that's what drives me. That's what makes me do what I do.
And I guess that's your skill of walking everyone through this journey of understanding the vision that you have, right? And I think conversations like that are so important. But for you, throughout your journey, was it a very smooth journey, or were there some bumps along the way?
There's always bumps. There's always bumps. Every day there's bumps. I think there's a lot there about not knowing who you are in your 20s. Yes, I didn't even know that I had this condition, and I always knew that I was impulsive, but I also knew that I had some kind of superpower, like I said, which I didn't know what that was, but I could make sense of stuff that other people couldn't make sense of quite quickly. When you don't know that and you think that everybody else's brain works at the same speed that you do, you find yourself sometimes having conversations and thinking people are with you and they're not. So then you end up way ahead of people, and the journey of collaboration can't be like that. So then you look back and you think, okay, what's everybody else doing?
Yeah, you left everyone behind.
Yeah, and then why are they not getting this?
Yeah.
And in your 20s, I think you kind of know what you're good at, but you don't know how that fits in with everybody else. And then you go into your 30s and you're a little bit more aware, and you're thinking, okay, you're a little bit maybe self-centered in that it's all about climbing that ladder, getting where you want to go. Yes, getting the promotion, jumping to another company for a better salary, looking for a different role because it's giving you a slightly better, edge against other people. Then I guess you want to then focus really on what you're doing as opposed to where you're going. And so, all along that, there are bumps. There are bumps in, first of all, finding out who you are, how you relate to other people, how they relate to you, being honest about the ugly parts of you, because I used to look around and think, what's wrong with everybody? No, it's not what's wrong with everybody. It's like, what's going on
Could
with
also
you?
be me.
Yeah. And, that I think also deciding that those bits that you don't necessarily like about yourself are okay too. They have to be okay. And then also deciding that some of those things you want to change them because you want to change them and you're going to be better by doing that. And some of them are actually boundaries and you have to keep them. Like, being angry, being annoyed, being upset. In the corporate world, you're told you're not allowed to do that. You have to keep the face. You have to, be pleasant. But those are all things that have got to do with your core values. That defense mechanism is because somewhere somebody's crossed that boundary. And how you outwardly, though, deal with that is the bit that you need to work on. But you need to trust that feeling of annoyance or anger or upset or whatever it is, it's you don't suppress it. It means something. But how you then deal with that, I think, is the bit that you are in control of and you need to reflect on. So that's, if we go back to what does it mean to be in corporate and what are the bumps? The bumps are how do you have that balance between keeping your core values, but then also functioning at a high level in an environment where certain behaviors are not, certain behaviors are preferred than others.
Yeah. But did you ever feel like you had to adopt a lot more masculine
100%.
traits? Oh.
100%. And I remember once crying to my dad and saying to him, I don't know if I can do this. This is really, really aggressive. And I said to him, I feel like everybody's wearing a mask and like I can't be like them. And he said to me, then wear the mask too. And I said to him, but I'm scared. What if I can't take the mask off? Like, what if that becomes me? And that's the thing. I think people look at corporate and it's exciting and it's sexy and, it's fast paced and people play hard, work hard. But like I say, maybe that has to do with my upbringing and my core values, as I say, but there were bits of me that I didn't want to lose and I felt like I would lose them. And so, it's been a journey of keeping that, but allowing the aura to change color so that you can flex. And definitely, yes, a big part of that is somewhere believing that, and it's not believe, I think it is what it is. Yes, I tap into my masculine side a lot to stay corporate. I'd say more so here in the region than in the UK and Europe, just purely by the definition of I am the only person in leadership, the only female in leadership at the moment. But that is what it is. I mean, that's another thing. We shouldn't expect everybody to move as fast as maybe where Europe has moved so quickly, because it took them a good, it wasn't so long ago that women weren't voting and women didn't have particular rights. So why do we expect the rest of the world to come up to speed automatically? But 100%. I think as a female growing up and not having too many positive female people to look up to, you look and you think that you've got to be like that. You've got to be masculine. You've got to tap into that energy.
But, for you, for example, now you mentioned that you're mentoring the next generations and stuff. And I'm sure it's a lot easier for the people who are junior to you being able to see there is a woman in leadership, so it is possible. It's not absolutely impossible. But how was it for you when you were climbing the ladder and potentially with no role models ahead of you? How did you pave your own way? And I know you said that you had to find the right balance between the masculine and who you are, changing the aura. But how was it?
I don't even know if I have the right balance, I have to be honest. And then, yes, even if I'm reflecting now, even the women that were, directors or GMs, they also had a very masculine vibe. Even back home in the UK. And I think as well, corporate means, or sometimes the definition of corporate people's perception of it is that you can't be vulnerable.
Right.
And I think those conversations are had more and more now. So there was no vulnerability back in, the 1990s and 2000s. And no, you couldn't be vulnerable. You couldn't even talk about your children or talk about your family at work. You were at work. And then when you went home, you'd probably spend an hour with your kid because they'd been in playgroup all day or whatever. And then you're back on the laptop because that's how competitive it is. So, yeah, I think that how have I done it? I think just the fact that, as I said, you've got to look at what your core beliefs are, and you've got to, I guess, though, to be honest, it's easier as you move up the ladder. Yes.
Of course.
When you're a young representative and you're new to the industry, all you want to do is really just perform and
head down work. Yeah.
And you want to get the appraisals and whatever. As you get older and you become more established, you have a level of expertise, you've accomplished things, you become comfortable in your own skin and you begin to relax and you allow yourself to maybe bring vulnerability into it. That's why I think my advice would be different to different people. I'm not going to go to a 20-year-old and say to them, you should be comfortable in your own skin and you should relax and talk about your boyfriend at work. And if you have kids, then you should. I wouldn't give that advice. You have to know who you're speaking to and what advice and you've got to be responsible with that advice, because just like you and I, sometimes you meet somebody and maybe they just give you a piece of advice, but it changes everything in your life. And they don't even know they've done that. And now you might find yourself in that same position. You're telling, so you will do that every day with the role that you have. You might say something that was just, off the cuff.
A flipping comment, yeah.
And that will change somebody's life forever. So I think it's not so much about corporate and what advice I would give, and the journey, yes, is important, but there are different levels of advice that I'd give to different people, I think.
That's such a good point. But was there a time where you thought that maybe corporate is not for you?
I'm now thinking about that. Only because I think that, as I said, now that I've kind of established an expertise and I have experience and I've done different works, and now I'm beginning to think about, could I do this for myself? Will it give me the freedom to do more of what I love without the burden of corporate and the structures? Because the structures are quite rigid. You have to remember, it's a multinational organization across different countries. There is a set format. When I was younger, when I was much younger, I didn't even know that I would go into corporate. I thought I would go into research. It was only because the pay wasn't so good that I decided that I am not going to do that.
We both left academia.
Yeah, exactly. For that's the reason. And like I said, I never imagined that, I didn't know anything about this industry. I never really imagined that I would be here. But I don't think during the journey of corporate, I've wanted to leave corporate. It actually allowed me to do amazing things that I probably would never have done. I've been to amazing places. I've worked with amazing people. I've had amazing experiences. So no, I don't think, but probably I'm reflecting on that now.
Okay. And at the beginning, you mentioned the whole work-life integration. So obviously you're a mom. You also have a very demanding job. But do you believe that women can have it all? Hey, dreamers, quick pause from the convo. If you are wondering what the Dreamers Digest is, it's my exclusive online community where I share behind the scenes goodies, lessons from building this podcast, and all the juicy stuff that never makes it to the final cut. If you're not in it yet, check the link in the show notes and come join us. It's 100% free. Also, shocking fact, 89% of you watching this on YouTube right now are not even subscribed. Wild, right? So if that's you, go ahead and hit that button. It would mean the world to me. And now, super exciting news. We launched the Podcast Academy. This is where I've poured everything I've learned from taking this show to 150 million views and turning it into a real business. It's 10 powerful modules packed with tools to help you launch, grow, and actually monetize your podcasts. You'll even get the chance to submit your episode for personal feedback from me and my team. If you've been thinking about starting a show or scaling the one you already have, this is your sign. Click the link in the description box below to learn more. Now, back to the episode.
What is all? Do I believe that you can? It's a roller coaster, isn't it? Nothing is stable. I mean, there are going to be times where you need to be a mum more than you need to be a director. And there are times you're going to need to be a director more than you're going to be a mum. And there are going to be days where you are away from home. And then there are days that you're going to prioritize what's going on in your family. So yes, you can, as long as you're flexible and adaptable. It's not easy, but you can't let one thing consume you. Because if I did just spend all my time at home with Abian, I wouldn't be happy. That thing in the back of my head, somebody asked me that question actually not so long ago, a colleague. It was a male colleague, and he said to me, could you just, give it all up and live at home? And I said to him, I could do that as long as I was being mentally stimulated with something. I'd have to be doing something. So I could give up corporate, but I'd have to be doing something because it's healthy for me. And I feel that it's something that I enjoy. I like doing it. It challenges me. And I think also it brings something back to my relationship with my son. And vice versa. There are things, as I said to you right at the beginning when we were having an informal chat, there are things that I discuss with my son which give me aha moments. Just, when they talk about reverse mentorship, I love that concept because I think young people see things in a completely different way, and people from different cultures and different backgrounds. And here is the space for it. There are over 200 different nationalities here. So I think you can have it all. You need to, though, be flexible, and you need to be aware of it. And you got to be honest with yourself. I wouldn't be a great mum if I just stayed at home. And I don't think I would be a great boss if I hadn't had Abian. And I know that through, they do these different things like disc profiles, and they tell you what your colors and your style is and all that. And I have to be honest, my green was always down there. Like I said, in your 20s and your 30s, it's all about you. You want to go, you want to run, you want to achieve, you want to get there. I think having Abian taught me how to care about other people and put other people first. And maybe I didn't learn that growing up, but I learned that through having Abian. And the vulnerability side as well, that it's okay to turn around and say, I'm having a bad day. It's my time of the month. That guy really annoyed me, and it's going to take me a while to get over that. Because that's how kids talk. They're really innocent in the way that they express. And then also when you're dealing with a child, you've got to be really explicit about your emotions so that they're not confused. And you learn and you take that into your work scenarios as well. Having an expectation that somebody understood what you said from the first time, and that, because we're employing these people to deliver. No, they're humans as well. That's the other thing. We're all human.
Yeah.
Putting on a fancy suit and some high heels and makeup in the morning looks impressive from far away. But at the end of the day, I go home and take it all off, and I sit in my pajamas, and I'll eat from, a takeaway tub. So, we're all human, and you've got to remember that. I don't think in corporate 20, 30 years ago, people cared that you had something going on in your personal life. That you needed to go home because there was a school play going on. That's the other thing. So I think socially, you can't just say it was all just because Sarrah's a fierce woman. No, socially, we have become better at understanding people as people. And corporate has also done a lot to allow people to be people at work. And as I said, and then the work that you do to show that you can integrate your life and your your work and your home life. I think yes, I think you can.
But also, there are like more and more statistics now that are also showing that women leaders perform better just because they create safer environment, they have empathy, they open up the discourse around your personal lives, being vulnerable. So clearly the feminine traits are also now coming back in trend when we're talking about leaders. But it's so funny. I was having this conversation with a friend of mine literally a few weeks ago, and she's a lawyer and she's a woman and she's hiring for her firm. And she said, oh, but there's this really good candidate, but I don't think I can hire her because she mentioned that she's thinking about having kids soon. And I was like, oh, even as a young woman who's my age, she's also seeing that as a negative, right? And I think that's a challenge we have as women as well, going into the workplace. As you said, having it all is possible, but we spend our 20s hustling. Then in your 30s, people are like, okay, now we need to have kids. But then in the workplace, that does not always lead to a very productive conversation.
Yes.
And I remember when I was in consulting as well, there was this lady who went on maternity. And then when she came back in a conversation, an informal conversation, I heard someone refer to her as, well, she's no longer on the partner track, she's on the mommy track.
Okay.
Right. So I was like, okay. So people do see this as a weakness. And I know that because we were on that panel together, I know that you have really championed the conversation around fertility, especially in the workplace. So tell us a little bit more about what started that whole path for you.
I want to just comment on the whole
Please.
thing around what your friend said. And I think we all carry unconscious bias and we have to just accept that. And I actually did a small kind of test at work where I got everybody to fill in a questionnaire. And as I said, I'm the only female on the leadership team. And I scored the highest on my unconscious bias. So I'm more biased than all my male colleagues. I'm not sure whether that's whether they filled it in properly or whether that's because I
coming
was
for
super
you.
honest.
Yeah.
No, everybody has unconscious bias. And I think if she's making we should also shame her, because if she's making that decision based on the fact that she wants to employ somebody full time and that there are, so, that position is open for a reason,
right?
Because the organization needs it. And with that will come either, her giving more responsibility to that individual to free up her time to do other things.
Right.
So she's going to obviously bring that person on for a reason. And it's okay for her to consider that. I think that's the other thing. Being pro women doesn't mean that we have to then be making extra allowances for women.
Right.
And
it's a very fine line, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
If I'm in, I know what it's like to go and get approval for a head count and then to get the budget for that head count and then to delegate responsibility and put together a job description for that role and what I need them to achieve. And getting a head count is not easy. So if you're going to bring somebody on board and you know that person's going to be off in 6 months' time, you've then got to plan for that also.
Right.
So that's just to say that we shouldn't shame people if they're taking that into consideration, because it is a consideration. However, if that woman is the best person she's seen for that role, you also need to look at that. Because she's going to be gone for 3 months or 6 months, or I don't even know how long actually maternity leave is here. But you know that when she comes back, she's going to be a powerhouse.
Right.
So as long as you're not taking second best for the inconvenience of 3 or 4 months, then it's all right for you to consider that. I think.
Right.
That's the other thing. We shouldn't make people feel like, oh, how could you think like that? You're a woman. No, you can think like that. You're allowed to think like that. So, and so when then that was just going on to the unconscious bias thing, because we all have it. But answering your question around fertility, well, I work for Merck, and Merck is one of the biggest fertility houses in the world. We have facilitated the birth of over 6 million IVF babies worldwide.
Oh my God.
Yes, it's a World IVF Day on the 25th of July. And so this is an important topic because just by the natural state of health, people are finding it harder to conceive for many, many different reasons. And we can talk about stress and we can talk about lifestyle and whatever the reason is, people are finding it harder to have kids.
Absolutely.
And they're also putting off having kids until later.
Mm-hmm.
So I myself didn't have my son until I was 38.
Wow.
And I think if you want to go back to that question about can you have it all, alhamdulillah, I have it all now, alhamdulillah, or as much as we can because it's relative. But yeah, it meant that for a long time,
it was
wasn't
delayed.
Even on the radar. Yes. So yes, am I as fertile when I'm 38 as I am when I'm 28? No.
Definitely not. Yeah.
So that really, and I'm also, as I said, the DEIB lead in the organization. But this is a topic that people need to talk about. And even if you look at what's going on in the UAE, this topic of fertility has just kind of blown up in the last 2 years. It's sometimes life is about being in the right place at the right time. Yes, there's a lot of this whole thing about you create the opportunity, but you got to find that hook. And right now, being at Merck, talking about this topic, empowering women to make decisions on their bodies, and also it being a topic at a national level, it's like all of those little red threads I was telling you about. And then you see this plan come together. And I guess it's similar to what we were saying in corporate. Things that you weren't allowed to talk about and were kind of taboo. Now it's happening with fertility. So all those things, those vulnerabilities, those things that we say that I'm 50 now, I'm comfortable to talk about because I don't feel shy and I don't feel judged. And to be honest, I don't care most of the time. Then now's the time to help other people have that conversation and feel comfortable and want to know what their options are. And that's really where it came from. So a little bit of opportunity making, a little bit of the right place and the right time, and a little bit of it's hot topic right now.
Wow. And how do you see companies actually supporting their female employees better when it comes to the whole fertility conversation?
We recently just launched a big initiative at Merck globally, actually. So for all employees within the Merck network that they've put together a pool of money. So it's around $35,000 to any couple that are looking to have IVF.
Oh, wow. Each couple gets $35,000.
Each couple, yes.
Wow.
So that's one way. But obviously, as I said, we're a big fertility house. So you've got to put your money where your mouth is. You've got to, if you're going to talk, you got to walk it as well. So it's important for us as an organization to say that we support people in that decision and also in that struggle. Yeah. And when we're talking now around what employers can do here, let's just take the UAE, for example. There's a bit of that around employers, but then there's also a big part of that around insurance coverage.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Yes. So employers can have the dialogue with their insurance providers, but shouldn't having a baby be the right of everybody? Isn't the inability to have a baby a hormonal condition? There are obviously other factors as well. So this whole thing of having a baby is a luxury and it's a choice and that it's not a health problem is a problem. So I think creating the movement where different stakeholders are in a consensus to say that, no, hold on a minute, having a baby is the right of everybody. It's not a luxury choice. There usually is an underlying medical condition to this, whichever one it is. Therefore, why can that not be covered by insurance? Because to ask somebody to go in and pay 60,000 or whatever the price is to go to an IVF center and you don't necessarily get pregnant from the first try.
Right.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot for white collar and high level corporate. So, no, we need to have that discussion, not just employers, but also whole system. We need our physicians to help support the conversation. We have to engage insurance people in the conversation. Government is already doing their side by putting together all of these different policies. And really, you saw, I think, the undersecretary not so long ago at the Boston Bio. Big part of her conversation was around fertility and potentially centers of excellence here in the region, etc. Saudi also just announced big plans for big centers of excellence. We have the whole thing around, health tourism. And why not let, the GCC be a hub where people come and have their babies. But more importantly, yes, employers need to support in the conversation. They need to be part of the solution. I'm not going to say they need to be the solution. I think that's unrealistic.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But even, the conversation around egg freezing has become a lot more open, and you hear it more often now. And I actually made a video about whether egg freezing is halal or not. And the way that video performed, I was so surprised. And then you start seeing how everyone is on everyone's mind, and everyone is starting to share their own experiences with it. And people are starting to ask more technical questions. And then I was like, oh, okay. So that people are willing to learn about this.
Okay, so what were people's what were their opinions about? Is it halal or not halal?
So I said that it is halal, but only if obviously you're using it as part of being married, right? After you use the eggs is after you're married. That's the whole point. But the actual extraction, there's no haram halal on that at all. It's just you're extending your likelihood of having parents and becoming parents, and it's all about you trust in God, if anything, right? And being, okay, I'm not getting married now. Let me extend this runway for myself. And obviously there are some people who would come at you for these things, but they are irrelevant. But most of the people who were interested, and a lot of women were coming forward saying, oh my God, I always thought that we should not do it, and I haven't been doing it. And then you see this whole kind of like surge of professional women who are Muslim who think, oh, well, I am not getting married now because I'm still working on my career. And also, the dating scene is a little bit different nowadays. So everyone is complaining about how hard it is to find a husband in your 20s. And then people are now asking, okay, at what age shall I start testing? At what age shall I start freezing? And I remember thinking, wow, I didn't expect this to open this kind of conversation. And then we had the fertility event. And then even there, a lot of the people were asking about other people's experiences with egg freezing. And now a lot of my friends are doing it. Even my sister's considering it. And I was like, wow, okay, so it is more prevalent. So even in the workplace, we should be aware that, 100%. Especially in a corporate workplace where women are having to have kids later, we need to have that conversation earlier on and get everyone on board. But for me, it was a very pleasant surprise because I love that women are open to having this conversation now instead of it being like shameful and thinking, oh, but it's like egg freezing is a little bit like, oh no, I can't talk about that. But do you see changes happening as well from your point of view?
Even what you've just said now just blows me away because to be honest, I thought people were still at the stage that they didn't even know what egg freezing was. Because I certainly didn't know what it was a few years ago, and I didn't even know that was an option. And that's the other thing is that I didn't even really, back then when I was in my 20s, I thought like having IVF was like if there was something wrong with you.
Right.
Yeah, if you couldn't conceive properly. Really kind of naive, kind of totally kind of, my mom had 4 kids, her mom had 5 kids, and my dad's one of 8.
Whenever they want to have kids,
they just have kids, So, so it's not something I ever wasn't even aware of it, to be honest. So the fact that people are aware of it and then they've got to the point of, is this haram or halal? And then they've crossed that, barrier also. And now they're thinking, okay, how do I do this? Like, where do I go to do this? That's amazing. That's amazing to hear you say that. What would we be doing? Well, we're actually working in partnership with a company called Oversave.
Yes.
And we're going around to corporate entities and we're doing screening there. We're making people aware. So first of all, do people even know that this is a thing? And then how do you do it? And how can you get tested for it? And it's not about that you only do this when there's something wrong with you. No, this is just a lifestyle decision sometimes, and sometimes it's a medical decision. But whatever the reason, it's okay. It's okay. You just need to be informed. And everything seems a little bit and a little bit scary if you don't know what it is. But once you know what it is and you know that, okay, I can do that. I think that's the bit that's our responsibility. So we go and we work with corporate entities so that they can inform and empower the women and the men. This isn't just a woman's
Absolutely.
conversation. If you're a man in a corporate entity and you hear about this program, you have maybe a partner at home and you're having that discussion with them. And, this conversation should be men and women alike. It's not really, yes, it's within the woman's body, but normally having a baby is a 2-person decision.
Yeah.
And even if you're having, or you're not in a couple, and sometimes it's a family decision. You got to look up at where we are in the region. I have to be honest, as a 20-something-year-old Muslim girl and coming from an Egyptian background, I probably couldn't have made that decision by myself.
Right.
I would have spoken to my parents about it.
Yeah, we will. Yeah.
So it's a as many people as it needs to be decision within who you are and your surroundings. I think the more we educate people, and you know what it's like, you're sitting down talking to a friend and a friend tells a friend and she was like, what? Really? You can do that? And you didn't even know she had a problem. She hasn't spoken to you about it, or he hasn't spoken about his wife to you about it. So I think that's our responsibility. All corporate entities have well-being programs at the moment. Everybody once a year gets invited to go downstairs and do the diabetes finger prick test and weigh themselves and hear a talk on, how you can stay well. This should be part of that program, and that's what we're trying to do right now. We're incorporating that into wellness programs. We're speaking to HR teams, and we're going around offering screening and also offering subscriptions to people if they find that they do need to go and see a specialist. And then we even have the option for corporates, if they want to put a pool of money to those employees on that platform, then they can do that also.
Wow. And isn't it as easy as a blood test to know the viability of your eggs, right? Like even that, I'm sure most people, I was mind blown when I heard it. I was like, oh, you can just do it at home?
Yeah, it's a finger prick. Yes, you can take your little pack at home and do it at home. It's a small finger prick test. You don't need to go venous.
No.
You don't need to take a big, of course, if you go into a hospital setting, that's what they do.
Yes.
But if you're wanting just an indicator of, then you can do that, yeah.
Yeah, because I think a lot of women especially have never had anything too invasive in their lives until that point.
Yes.
So they're scared. They're like, well, how invasive is this? But you can literally just prick of a finger. You'll know the viability of your eggs, and then you can decide what you want to do with that kind of information. Yeah. So, wow, very, very crazy. But, you deal with so many people on the regular who are talking about health and stuff. What has been the biggest learning for you? Like, do you feel like everyone has the same kind of like fear? Is everyone just dealing with the same thing, or what is it?
We're busy. And life is fast, and we don't always prioritize ourselves. Even myself, I went to support a friend who went to see a cardiologist.
Yeah,
I ended up going home with a statin. So, I don't go to the doctor very often, I have to be honest, somebody who works in healthcare. And I always thought that, I was pretty healthy, and I don't drink, I don't smoke. I try to go to the gym and I try to eat healthy. But I ended up finding out I have familial hypercholesterolemia. Okay. And I probably would never have tested myself on that. And so that's what's in common. People are busy, and people don't have the convenience of taking a trip to the doctors. And this is part of the solution that we're trying to work with the ministry on, is that we will bring the services to you as opposed to you having to go to the services.
Right.
So many times you see these screening campaigns in malls and things, and then you'll say to the person, okay, your glucose levels are really high, you should go and see a physician. About 80% of people don't. So
no follow-up.
Because they feel fine. You feel fine. I feel fine. There's nothing wrong with us.
Until it goes bad.
Or by chance. So either something goes really bad, but then usually you're kind of older and you've probably had this condition for a while, or by chance. So if we can make those chances more chances by having things done in the office, but more importantly, having some kind of follow-up. This is the other thing. People, you might get tested, but you'll go home, you won't think about it.
I don't want to think about it, right? You'll be like,
that's the next bit. So you go home, you won't think about it. But then when we do find people and we let them know, there is a little bit of denial there. Okay, I'm in the field. So when he told me, I was like, me? I have to take a tablet forever? But then I thought to myself, yeah, I'm going to take the tablet forever. Cholesterol is, you will not believe the number of people that sit and argue with you around, no, I don't want to take the tablet. 64% of diagnosed diabetics in one of the health authorities in the UAE shared data to show that 64% of diagnosed diabetics in the first year didn't take medication. So you are done the hospital test, you've been diagnosed,
You've
the
been
doctor
told.
did the colon consultation with you, told you what medicine, and you've said, no, thank you, I don't want it. And that's, I think, the thing I find probably in common is that we're busy, life is fast, we don't always have time to go. We often find out by chance. And then when we do, we don't necessarily follow it up. And then when we finally do follow it up, we take a bit of time to... And I think that still has a lot to do with, you talk about fertility and taboo and shame. I think that's probably true of all conditions. All conditions. I'm asthmatic. You'll be surprised how many people don't want to say that they're asthmatic. Like, why? Like,
why is it a weakness?
Because we're humans, and it's about, if we go back to science, like you and me, it's survival of the fittest. It's Darwin's theory.
Yeah.
It's around defective genes, meaning that there's something wrong with you. And the fact that medicine has been able to cover the genetic defect. It goes back to it goes back to so much stuff. It goes back to traditions and people wanting people that are fit and healthy and will bear children for them.
Yeah.
And it's innate. It's in us. And that's the thing. We will never truly get over that until we talk about it. And you know what? This is a bit about being honest as well. When my son, he had a chest infection a few weeks ago, and we ended up in A&E, and the doctor started saying to me, we're going to need to do some lung function tests on him because you're asthmatic. And you're like, oh my God, I'm asthmatic. I've given it to my child now. And now my 12-year-old child could be asthmatic for life.
Yeah.
And it's human nature.
The guilt is there.
Yeah. And so I think that, it's not just infertility. I think the taboo of having a medical condition exists in every disease. But it's inevitable. We're living longer, and I want to take that back. It's not inevitable because we're doing so much now in terms of healthcare, looking at longevity. And longevity doesn't just mean living longer.
No.
It means living longer, better, weller.
Quality of life.
Yes. We have one of the biggest genomic programs in the world here in the UAE. And what their plans are in terms of precision medicine, personalized healthcare, being able to profile. You can do that now. You can go and have your genetic profile done now.
Wow.
And it tells you how you methylate things. It will tell you what works in your body and what doesn't, and what you need to eat and what you need to do. And you can customize your healthcare or your health fitness now. And that is the future. And potentially with genomic screening, we could be looking at eradicating certain recessive genes.
Amazing.
By making sure that if we go through IVF, you pick the embryo that doesn't carry the defective gene. So this whole science fiction stuff that we used to talk about, and it potentially is science fact. If you and I are, carrying a recessive gene, and now that there's a compulsory premarital genetic screening, and we both know we're carrying a recessive gene, then the option would be that we would put an embryo that didn't carry the recessive gene.
Of course.
So, I think that dialogue is important. A reduction of shame is important, but also appreciating that it's human nature.
Yeah, you've put it into such clear words, because even recently I had a friend who was diagnosed with diabetes, and she was like, the doctor said I'm pre-diabetic and in 10 years I will be diabetic. And the doctor advised that she started medication. Then 1 week later I was like, so how's the medication going? She's like, I haven't started it yet. I forgot about it. I was like, what? Then she's like, yeah, I'm in denial. She was like, since I came back from the doctor, I haven't thought about it.
Yeah.
She's actively blocking it. And you're right. We all don't want to talk about any kind of weakness that we have. And
But if I was to ask her, are you taking your collagen? Are you taking your omega-3?
Yeah.
Are you taking your... She'd say yes.
Yes.
So the concept of popping the pill is not the barrier.
No, we are. We are very comfortable popping any other pill.
And we're comfortable now injecting ourselves with weight loss, whatever. People are doing whatever. But yeah, it's not about the popping the pill. It's about the acceptance of this thing around...
Your disease now. Yeah.
I think even if you break it down to normal, there's something wrong with me. That we have to just we have to deal with that first.
Yeah.
It's not something wrong with me.
Right. It's that. And I think, as you said, it's human. This is something with time, it's emotional. Mm-hmm. It's a very emotional reaction.
Yes.
So that's hard to work around, because I remember this other friend I had was saying, he was very sad about the fact that he had high BP. And he was like, now for the rest of my life, I need to be on this pill. And I was like, but you wear glasses. For the rest of your life, you have to wear glasses. It's the same thing. Yeah. You're just fixing something and you have the solution. Why would you not want it? But yeah, no, that's so interesting that's what you've noticed as well. This is exactly what it is. And hopefully we can all have better relationship with our health.
A better acceptance of the fact that, yes, I mean, it tell me that it's like real life. Tell me somebody who doesn't actually have problems. There are no people that don't have problems. And there are no, if I speak to anybody, I was an atopic child. I had psoriasis when I was young. I became asthmatic at 18. I've understood now that I have ADHD. I'm on a statin. Life is life. You just have to, if there's a solution for it, then why are we even thinking about it?
Right.
Yeah.
But what's the alternative is to just make it worse over time. And especially with diabetes, it's so scary when you see how bad it can go. And we eat so badly anyway. So it's like, maybe it's okay.
And we can't protect our children from everything. It's okay that my kid might have been asthmatic. It's okay that my kid's he has ADHD. It's so all of that stuff is okay.
And what's the point of feeling bad for something you can't control? Just focus on what you can control.
You can control how you feel about it and what you do about it. I celebrate my ADHD and I celebrate myself. I say to him, it's a superpower.
It is.
In some places of it's a superpower. In other places, maybe the impulsiveness part, and it's not. Okay, and you've got, as long as you know that, you can do something about it. But the whole stigma thing, I think...
I know.
When you feel pain, when you burn yourself, it's for a reason. It's a protection for you. It's okay. When you develop something, it's a protection for you. It's okay, deal with it.
It is. But listen, Sarrah.
That goes back to being a woman as well. We're supposed to be beautiful and look perfect and smell perfect.
Right.
And no, it's okay. It's okay to have ugly bits of you as well.
Right. And also what I find interesting is that now that I am in my 30s, I find that people don't like to say their age, especially women. They don't want to say how old they are if they're not in their 20s. And I keep thinking, why? In my 20s, I was hustling. I did not feel comfortable with myself. I didn't know who I was. Since I became 30, now I feel like I am very unapologetical about who I am.
Yeah.
I've stepped into myself a lot more. And I'm sure even for you, 40s is like a whole different vibe as well. I feel like it's a new season every time.
It was my birthday yesterday.
Oh my God, yeah, happy birthday.
Yeah.
So that's even the new season is starting for you now in your 50s. And I think because women have been conditioned to think that when you age, your value goes down, we are scared of saying how old we are now. And again, it's the whole thing of you need to look a certain way. You can't look older, but it's so much pressure on women.
I think that's if though you're leading with your looks. Okay? I think that there's pressure on you if you are, and we have to talk about that, I think, as well in corporate, and we have to talk about that. If you're leading with your looks are going to fade. You have to be leading with your expertise, with your passion, with your belief, with your true self. Because I think if you look at people who don't care about saying what their age is, they're not leading with that. They're leading with everything else. And I think if you want to sit across the table from a man and you want to have a conversation with him where you're leading with what's going on up here and here, and not really care about what's going on here. And this goes back to this thing of you said about tapping into the masculine. I sometimes find myself tapping into my masculine so that I am not leading with what you see on the outside, because it's easy to judge me from what you see on the outside if you don't know me from far away.
Right.
But I am more than the makeup and the hair that I put on this morning. This is all just a show.
Yeah.
And I hate it when I walk into a room and a guy treats me a particular way because he thinks that I look a particular way. And that's frustrating to me sometimes if we're really, really going to get honest in this conversation.
Yeah.
So then I'll tap into my masculine so that you can see that whatever's going on in this dynamic is going to stop right now. I'm going to start talking about what we came here to talk about. And people don't say this part as well.
Yeah. That's such an interesting point.
But I still want to empower everybody to be beautiful in the inside and the outside. Look how you want to look. Do your hair, wear your makeup,
yourself,
wear whatever your clothes you want to do. But unfortunately, sometimes it's okay to tap into the masculine a little bit, because I want you to focus on here.
Yeah.
And don't speak to me like, it's okay. I know it's okay.
But it's true. You know what? I think you're right. We don't talk about this enough, because sometimes with what people call pretty privilege also comes a lack of respect for who you are, right? So then they start putting you in a box of like, well, she's pretty, she's well put together, probably doesn't have much going on here, right? And then they don't give you the level of respect that you should command, especially in a professional setting. So I'm glad you mentioned that. That's a very good point. But we've run out of...
I'm sure some people are going to hate me for saying it, but it's
fine.
Okay. It's okay.
It's okay. Yeah. In the interest of time, we've run out of time. But what's an advice that you would give to any young women who are at the start of their corporate career in terms of how to have the most fruitful and incredible journey ahead?
Find the champion. And it doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman. Find somebody who believes in you and sees beyond even what you can see for yourself. I think I'm not going to say that I could have got where I am faster or quicker if I wasn't a woman. I'm going to say I would have got there faster and quicker if I would have found somebody that championed and believed in me as a mentor. I think that's what's more important. Because sometimes I believe that this whole women-man thing is it's exaggerated. Find a champion. Find somebody who believes in you. Find somebody that can mentor you and take you through corporate, if we're talking about corporate only. Because it's hard. And the politics and the rules are complex. And the navigation through that is difficult. And the exposure is difficult. So that's the advice I'd give somebody, regardless of who that mentor is.
I love that. And you know, this is very controversial, but my best managers I've had when I was in the workplace were always men. They are the ones who've opened more doors for me. So, you know, it doesn't matter. It's just about, as you said, it's a champion. So, Sarrah, this has been amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
No, of course. This was a pleasure, and wishing you best of luck with what's to come.